Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review, the punk rock band of war game review institutions. This is Minuteman, the Second American Revolution from SPI. This was missing the rulebook. The guy I bought it from told me about that, but I bought it anyways. But I was able to get a rulebook online at, I think it's spigames.net, so they have a PDF of the rules. It says it's a simulation of future partisan warfare in the United States, and it can be played with 1 to 4 players. So that's good. Let's take a look inside and see what's in here. Here's player and designer notes. Little survey from SPI. If you like doing these type of surveys, go to community.consimworld.com. It's a new Consim World forum. People can post different polls and stuff. I highly recommend you check it out. I hang out there. I have a good time there. They just open it up. Alright, let's see what else is in here. That's a map. We'll get to that in a minute. I like looking at these ads. And here's the counters. Most of them are unpunched. And there's a counter tray. And it includes the dice too. Let's take a look at the map before we go through the rule book. This is a big old map. On the top here, it has a subversion combat results table, a sedition combat results table, infiltration combat results table. Joseph Miranda would like this game since he's into having multiple combat results table. And here's a military combat results table. And a random events table. And down here you have a riot spread table. Movement chart for Minuteman units. Unit build table, terrain effects chart, and here's a government reaction table and assassination betrayal pin removal phase. I think this is from what year here? 1976, so that's about as good as a map got back then. Alright, let's go through the rules. So it starts out with the intro, and then goes into how to play the game. Let's see. Looks like, I think this is a sequence of play. Rebel player decides if any of his units will go underground, then rebel player builds. Then rebel player moves, then the rebel player attacks. And rebel player determines the supply state of his militia units, and both players determine random events, and then the government player goes and he reacts to the rebels. He builds, he moves, he attacks. He tries to remove pin markers. Alright, now it's going over the counters. Counters have attack, defense, and build strength, and those are for the rebel Minuteman units, and for the army divisions they just have attack strength and defense strength. Oh, okay, it does actually have a formal sequence of play there. Actually, we just went over all that, except, well, not really. Let's go over it again. Underground decision phase, rebel build phase, rebel movement phase, rebel combat phase, rebel supply determination phase, and now the mutual random events phase, and followed by the government player turn, which is government reaction, government build, government movement, government combat, and pin removal, and government supply determination phase. Now it's going into building units and movement. So far, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of War in the Mega City, which was put out a few years back. I think it was in Counterfact magazine. The game was interesting, but the rule book had issues. But it reminds me of this because it has the multiple combat results tables, and rebels can go underground and stuff. So it almost looks like the War in the Mega City was heavily based on this game. I mean, it might have not been intentional, but I don't know. It's just got a lot of similarities so far, just looking through the rule book. Alright, it's going over zones of control, stacking, supply, combat. Alright, it's going over military combat, subversion combat, and effects of terrain on underground status. Here's sedition combat and infiltration combat. Going over untried units and going underground. And then going over random events and special markers. Looks like there's even underground markers. And here's where the optional rules begin. Here's a basic scenario, the enemy within. And then there's some alternate scenarios. A partisan scenario. Let's see anything else. And an occupation scenario along with a civil war scenario. And there's the player and designer notes again. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, please click like on it, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel, and as always, have a good evening.